Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Got a little project I'm working on today. Thought I'd bring you along just in case you're having to do something similar. So my 1998 Class C motorhome, it's around 27 years now. A lot of the components are starting to wear out. Most recently, I had an upper radiator hose go out on me going up a 6% grade. So I figured it might be time to go through the whole system and just take out all the old components, and so that way I can drive with some peace in mind. They got plenty of life out of them, but if you've ever been stranded away from home, far away, it can be a little bit stressful. So we're gonna go ahead and do some upgrades. So I've already started some work on it because it's hard to film everything I'm doing. We can see I got the front end of the motor all stripped out. We got the radiator out and the fan clutch. Still gonna get the water pump out. This pulley on here is pressed on pretty tight. I'm gonna have to pry that off, so I'm gonna do that here in a little bit. But you can see I got it all pretty much down and prepped to go. I'm gonna do new tensioner idlers. The belt I just recently replaced, so I'm gonna reuse that. I'm going to change the water pump. Since I'm in here, I'm gonna change the alternator because that's original as well, and lower radiator hose. I'm gonna put in some fresh coolant. So here's lower radiator hose. You can see it's like a big spider, and there's the part number if you need to get one. This one's from Gates, I believe, and I noticed that Gates is pretty much providing all the aftermarket support for these cooling systems. Here's the stock Motocraft one. I did talk to Ford and they said that it's obsolete parts, so you have to go to aftermarket. So here's the hose that let out on me, and I cut off the bad portion already, so it blew right here, right by the neck of the engine. There's the Ford number, and here's what's replaced it. Gates. We're going to put that in along with the tensioner, and I put part numbers by everything since it's all Gates stuff now. Here's the new tensioners. There's the part number. And then alternator, I went with a lifetime warranty, remanufactured, and it's 130 amp, which I believe was the original equipment. See, it has a Motocraft stamp on it, but it's just probably the case, but it's been gone through. So you want a 130 amp for these motorhomes, I believe, with the 8 groove pulley. They spin clockwise rotation. And for the radiators, I went to eBay for that, and the new one came, and this was like only $160. I've had good luck with these before. I know they're probably made in China. I'm sure they are, but that one didn't actually fail, but I figured it was time. It does show like a little bit of signs of corrosion, a little bit of maybe a little bit of weeping on the tops of the tanks. It looks like this one will work. It does have a little damage here on the side, but I don't think that's gonna affect it. And it came with an assortment of fittings for the transcooler lines. These ones match the ones that I have stock. So that should be a direct replacement, and then we'll reuse some of these components. Like I said, the lower radiator hose, I already put it in because it was kind of a pain. It snakes back to the oil cooler through some brackets and everything, and that oil cooler has been replaced because it did fail on me at one point. I started getting some oil mixed in. There's still a little bit of residual oil in the coolant, but we've got probably 98% of it out by flushing, and it hasn't provided any problems at all. It actually never overheated. Always stopped it in time and took care of it. So let me start putting some things back together, and I'll stop and photograph every now and then when I can. So here now I got the water pump out. This was stuck on pretty tight, so I just kind of worked around with the pry bar and just kept rotating a little bit. Eventually it'll come off, but yeah, otherwise if you ruin this, you're gonna have to get another one. But that one came off. As you can see, this water pump, it's got some corrosion. It was time. Never failed me, but might as well. We're in here, let's get it done. So here's the replacement part. It's the gates. Got a brand new O-ring to go in. And here's the part number for that water pump. Now the housing, where it came out of, you can see it's got some junk in there I need to clean up. So I'm gonna wire wheel that, make sure it's got a good mating surface for that new O-ring. Rinse it all out, clean it up. We should be ready to reinstall. Bring it back then. So I wire wheeled the inside. Some of my surface has some pitting, but luckily it's further back away from the ceiling surface. I think we'll be all right. And this thing's got just over 100,000 miles. So she's, at this point, it is what it is. Gonna put her back together. It was also a good time to flush the block out. So I put my garden hose up in there and ran some water through, and a little bit of debris came out. So that's a good thing that you can do right now at the same time. Let me put this all back together and I'll bring it back. Alright, as you can see, I've been busy. So we got the water pump back in. You can only go one way, the bolts won't line up anywhere else, but you can always tell you got the weep hole at the top. That's all snugged up, 18 foot-pounds. Pulley's back on. Got the alternator, new alternator on, all hooked up. Make sure you got your battery disconnected so you don't have any sparkage. Got the tensioner back on, the new pulleys. Yeah, I think this would be a great time to put the belt back on with all this access. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we are, we got the new radiator in, the shroud is back in, fans on. Just make sure you get the radiator seated in the rubber mounts on the bottom. And then you just line up these upper mounts and put them on. Upper radiator hose is on. I reconnected the overflow tube. I got the mass airflow sensor housing and duct all hooked back up. So it'll be a good time to clean that. I looked, I don't have any of the cleaner for that, so it's going back in. Doesn't have any check engine lights or anything. But I just left myself lower radiator hose and transmission cooler lines, and then double check everything. Then I should be able to fill this up. You can see it's not the nicest day in Washington, so I might wait for the rain to stop before I go under there. Here's a kind of a final look bottom side. Got your two tranny cooler lines hooked up, and then the lower rad hose. And then over here you can see there's the oil filter cooler housing. The two hoses connect to that. So we should be good to go. So now we're down to just refilling the system and purging the air, and then I'll have to test it for leaks. But this whole system has been pretty much gone through now. I had previously replaced the serpentine belt, that oil cooler, and also the thermostat. So should be good. Oh, minus the heater core in here. Hopefully it doesn't give me any trouble, but those don't usually leave you stranded. They start leaking first, so you can always top off to get to a place where you can change it. But should be good to go now. So this rig's over 100,000 miles. I put 40,000 on it myself and been all over the United States, and she's always done pretty good. So I don't mind throwing a little bit of love her way. Let's go ahead and start filling. So I'm gonna run the green and do a 50-50 water to antifreeze. This is a 1998 Ford pre-2000. Should be all right. Well, things have escalated. That radiator, the new one, is back out. So it turns out, you know, I thought this was going to be our problem right here, if anything. But if you look here, it's leaking all along the base of this fitting. So I just contacted the seller, going to see about getting a replacement or a refund, and hopefully getting a good radiator. So I'll have to finish this later. So I contacted customer service and waiting to hear back. I'm sure we'll be able to get a replacement. I'll just have to shove that in the box and send it back. It's unfortunate. I haven't got burned on brand new parts for a while, but it does happen sometimes. It looks like this guy's had kind of a rough life out of the box. Like maybe it got mishandled or a forklift hit it or something. Maybe it got dropped on that corner. But, you know, getting it out is not too bad. I think I had it back out in about 10 minutes. So I'll just, hopefully everything else is good. And I'll be able to test that once I get the system pressurized. Until then, this is on hold. I need this thing in about 2 weeks for a trip we got planned. So hoping to be up and running before then. If worse comes to worse, I just run into town and buy another radiator. Or I guess I could put the old one back. It hasn't failed yet, but I'd rather not take a backward step. So anyway, thanks for watching.